Evening, friends. Welcome to the DAOHack. This is Yonks and hanging out here with Mrs. Yonks and Mike, fonz.eth from gm.xyz. So really looking forward to exploring the community platform that they are creating there. And as the title for this live stream says, a better home for your Web3 DAO community. So welcome, Mike, to our live stream. We would love to hear the origin story of gm.xyz.
Hi, Youngs and Tyler. Thanks for having me. So I could just jump right into it. My name's Mike. I'm one of the co-founders of GM. I started it back with my brother back in September of last year. So basically, people have kind of been talking about this idea of decentralized social media for years, but nobody's really built a great one. You've had like a few attempts, but we kind of like disagreed with the approaches that they were taking. A lot of people kind of like started off trying to either launch a token or build their own kind of decentralized architecture for storing posts, upvotes, and stuff like that. We took the approach of trying to solve a real problem first, and then progressively decentralizing from there. So there's three main problems that we want to solve. The first is that Discord is kind of just an awful tool for Web3 communities as a communication platform, right? It's kind of like a synchronous chat. Every channel is a synchronous chat room, and it requires everybody to be online at the same time. And that just really breaks down when you get into hundreds of people, let alone tens of thousands that I'm seeing in some Discords, right? And like, there's also this dynamic where if I'm in 50 plus Discord servers, I mean, I know some people who are at like the 200 server limit of Discord. That really just breaks down, right? Like if each Discord server if you're in 50 servers and each one has 20 channels, that's 1,000 places you have to check every single day, right? Just to stay up on your latest community. So like, that doesn't work. And then you have to stitch together all these different bots to kind of grant roles based on the tokens you own and do kind of like scheduling and stuff like that. So we wanted to kind of make spinning up a Web3 community as easy as spinning up a subreddit, right? So that was the first problem we wanted to solve. The second problem we wanted to solve is that these large social media platforms have take rates of 100%, right? Like they don't share any revenue with their users. So if you think about Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, right? Like they have billions of dollars of advertising revenue and they don't share it with any of their users. A great example is the person who created Wall Street Bets, right? Which is an 11 million person subreddit, wasn't compensated in any way from Reddit. So we just think that's a massive issue and that's going to change. And we take the view that Chris Dixon and Andreessen Horowitz has of your take rate is our opportunity. That's the other problem we want to solve is we want to help users capture a lot of the value that they create. And then the third thing is that these tech social media giants like Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, the social media data of billions of people around the world is owned by a handful of privately owned US tech companies. And we just think that's a massive issue because it really stifles innovation in the space. It puts a lot of power in the hands of a few individuals about like what the whole world should see and what they should not see, right? And we personally think that data should be open and anybody should be able to build on top of it and express their own views. So those are three problems we want to solve. We're starting with utility first. And so the project's a little over 6 months old. We started back in September. We were both software engineers. We just started writing code and like shipping it and trying cool features like verified profile pictures and token gated access to communities based on the assets you own. And we started picking up a following. We have like an asynchronous communication model, which is just better. It's been really resonating with communities. Like our pitch to communities has basically been, if there's any content you have in your Discord server that you want to be able to come back to more than a week from now, it should not be on Discord. You should move that over to GM. And communities have been moving it over, right? And we're 6 months in. We just launched like a bunch of communities, some really awesome ones like Analyst DAO, Coin Metrics, On the Brink podcast, Bankless DAO. We have some really great communities and people are starting to use it like a social network. And then longer term, we want to decentralize it and kind of like help users capture the value they create. And then also kind of give everybody read and write access to the data layer. So sorry, that was a long-winded answer, but yeah, that gets you pretty much up to speed on everything.
No, absolutely love that. And I'm going to bring up my profile here real quick. And we being several communities that Mrs. Yonks and I are the community managers for, have been looking for a Discord alternative since what, Tyler? Like probably the end of November, sometime really started ramping up our efforts since the middle of December. And how long is that list of platforms that we've been evaluating, Tyler?
At least a half dozen. We have been all over the place. I think what's so interesting about GM was that it's got a familiar interface. If you know how to use Reddit, it looks pretty instinctive. If you are familiar with Facebook, if you like the kind of the LinkedIn scroll feed, but not the overwhelming Discord fire hose, this, I think whoever designed this did a really beautiful job of putting together something that is easy to follow. It's appealing. It's got so many cool integrations in it. Mike, would love for you to talk about if a community isn't on Reddit or Facebook or LinkedIn with their community, if all they do is Discord, what should we be thinking about as community leaders to start using GM? Where does it fit in the strategy? Can you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, sure. So the way I've kind of been describing it is, right, like Discord's synchronous communication, right? It's chat-based synchronous communication, which is great for internal communication, right? If you're a small team and you need to get a hold of somebody right away, chat is great for that, right? A forum style post isn't good for that. So internal communications should remain in Discord or Slack, and it's really great. Those kind of chat apps are really great for it. But when you're talking about public communications and engaging with your community and a large audience of people who are not part of that core team, you're going to want to communicate in an asynchronous way that doesn't require everybody to be online at the same time. So we're telling people, right, like if whatever discussions involve like dozens of people, right, or hundreds of people or thousands of people, right, that should be on GM. If you're going to want to come back to the content more than a week or a few days from now, that content should also be on GM, right? Because I could go to GM and I could click, show me the top posts in this community over the past month. And I could scroll through the titles and get pretty up to speed as like a more casual follower, right? Whereas if there's a Discord server, like if I'm not in that Discord every day and I want to get caught up on what's happened in this Discord server over the past month, it's impossible. The only way to really do that is to read every single message in every single channel, which is not accessible for probably like 90% plus of the users in your community, right? So I would start with kind of conversations like that and move it over. And there's still things that GM is lacking, right? We don't have a mobile app. We don't have push notifications. We don't have synchronous chat, which we plan on implementing soon. We don't have like audio channels and voice channels, right? So right now, I would view it as more of a complement to Discord. But over the next 6 months, we are adding all these features, and hopefully, like you can move your entire community over here, and it could be kind of like a one-stop shop for your internal communications, where people with certain roles within your community have access to these chat channels that are great for internal communication, and then everybody else kind of converses and discusses the topics important to your community and shares information and connects through the forum style.
And I just brought up the Discord webhooks and GM improvement proposal that you just circulated here. So tell us a little bit about how that would work as far as really kind of bridging the potential social transition from Discord over to gm.xyz.
Yes. So we have these things called GIPs, which it's kind of a joke on the Ethereum improvement proposals. So GIPs, GM improvement proposals. And basically what they are we started communicating asynchronously, our just core team, just because it's kind of better for writing just forces a certain amount of clarity and precision of thought with your ideas. That just kind of talking in meetings doesn't, right? So we moved to a totally asynchronous communication process, and these of like, what's the motivation? Why do you want this feature? What would this feature look like exactly? What's the rationale, like pros and cons? And we do that for everything that we build. So this one we kind of proposed. The main problem that we are noticing is that right as I was saying before, GM is a complement to Discord, right? So if people are adopting both apps, it's kind of annoying for most users to have to check two places, right? And right now we're just kind of acknowledging like most Web3 communities, most of their attention is concentrated in Discord right now. So how could we kind of leverage that and help communities out as they kind of make the transition over to GM? So an idea we had was kind of bots that would automatically post to whatever channel of your choice. It could be a dedicated GM channel, or like it could be, if you want to use GM only for governance conversations, it could post directly to your governance channel in your Discord server as a way to kind of bridge that gap until we're kind of ready for you to move your whole community over. So we're going back and forth on the pros and cons of that. The pros being that, right, it's like a great bridge, and it kind of makes sure that content from GM is being seen by your entire community, and that people are aware and have like a place to look and know when they're kind of caught up on GM stuff. The cons is that, I don't know, people tend to ignore bots. This might just lead to an even more cluttered Discord server. So right, we put out the GIP and we wanted to get feedback from everybody else. And we got some mixed reviews on it, right? Like people going to the pros and cons. So we actually decided to push back, maybe like revisit it, and we're starting on rich text editing now. So, but yes, we want to make it easier to stay up to date on your communities and like ideally only check one place.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And that's one of the biggest feedbacks that we've gotten from some of our community members that are new, that have never been on Discord, is that Discord is really overwhelming and confusing. And that's one of the things that we're really looking to do, is to have a platform agnostic community experience where it doesn't matter if someone is on gm.xyz or in Discord or like neither one of those. We really want to have communication mechanisms for communities that we're building where somebody can stay informed about what's going on within our community activities and choose to engage when it makes sense for them. So really love to, and one of the things that really I've enjoyed about your platform is just the very clean and navigable user experience. And like here is Bankless DAO. Mrs. Yonks and I are in the DAOlationships Guild at Bankless DAO, and it looks like that the admins of the gm.xyz community have continued to add more and more here to that. And like here was a post that I made the other day expressing my excitement to be utilizing this as Bankless DAO is getting ready to enter season 4 here. So what is the feature that is that you're most excited about, Mike, with gm.xyz that's on your roadmap coming up here?
Yeah, so my brother, who's like my co-founder, he just released a demo today of native iOS and Android clients that we're starting to work on. So that's honestly, I think that's going to be huge, right? Like most people consume content from their phones. Push notifications are pretty useful, right? For knowing when somebody commented on your thing and like you should respond to them or uploaded your thing, right? It's a very critical part of kind of keeping up with your community. And the fact that we don't have a mobile app or like great notifications is like kind of a massive issue for us right now. So we're hoping to have that out within the next month, right? Like hopefully like the next couple of weeks. And that'll be really exciting. So I'm so excited for that because I think it's going to be, that's really kind of like the major thing that we need, as well as like rich text editing, right? So if you notice like a lot of Web3 communities like Bankless DAO, for example, they will use Discourse to kind of have a lot of governance discussions, and they're using that for asynchronous communication. But there's a lot of issues with Discourse. Like, it's just old software. It's from like 2013. It's like open source. And like, I love it, but at the same time, it's just not like clean and useful. And also it requires everybody you have to create a different login for every forum that you join, right? I have to create a different login if I join the Bankless DAO discourse versus the other one I need if I join the Paladin discourse, right? And that just creates, like, if I'm in 30 of those, I have to check 30 different websites, right? Not even just Discord servers, right? So it's a major issue. So we're also launching rich text editing. This should be out in the next few days, where you can have headings, you can have bolded and hyperlink text and make it really clean and embed it in your post and create these really clean posts. And then there, I'm actually really excited because then there's almost no reason to use Discourse. Everybody can just use GM for their asynchronous communication. And then over time, we'll introduce like chat and audio topics, right? So if you see topics on the side, everything's forum-based, but you can imagine like creating a chat topic where it looks kind of just like a Discord channel, right? So you click on the left there, and like, right, like you can imagine if there was a chat one, right? And you click on it, and then it opened up kind of like a Discord chat room. Right, and then you could kind of, we're also rolling out gating community roles, right? So if you're the Bankless DAO community, you can assign roles to people who own, say, 10,000 bank and give them access to certain topics, or change their read and write privileges, right? To keep out spammers, or like reward people who have been contributing to your community and give them access to really high alpha channels or topics, right? So those are probably like the three ones I'm most excited about. Like 1, a mobile app; 2, rich text editing; and then 3 would be chat and audio topics.
That's amazing. So when you're thinking through these things, one of the things that we're trying to attract people is to our affordable housing protocol. How do you imagine people creating a topic? Maybe you don't know what Bankless DAO is, but you sort of like the idea of it without knowing the word. So for us, people don't necessarily think co-op housing protocol. They might be thinking affordable housing. How do you think those topics have the possibility to drive people into communities, and kind of what are you imagining as people are searching for who the community might be? Can you tell us about that?
So like the topics are created by the admins, right? So if you're an admin for the community, it's very similar to Discord channels, right? Like it's kind of like the admins who they use topics to kind of create strong divisions and organized content, right? Like, so like, right, you have like a governance topic, you could have a topic for news, right? And then it actually makes it super easy, because then I could go to the governance topic and show me, and then filter, right? And then see all the top governance discussions that have happened over the past month, or maybe even all time, right? And then you could search within those topics. Does that answer your question? It's kind of like, right, like the moderators will use those topics to steer the community, to basically categorize content within the community, and hopefully make it easy for people to understand and kind of plug into a community.
Yeah, I'm just so excited about what this could look like for the people that don't know the name of our community or any other community. They sort of know the topic and they're looking for the topic. I'm just excited about what that could look like for GM. So I know you've got a hard stop here. I know you've got a hard stop here on the hour, so I wanted to be respectful of your time. But we love this stuff. So tell everybody how they can plug in their community and what their next steps are. People are listening and they want to get connected with GM.
Yeah, so you can go to gm.xyz. You sign in with you could spin up a MetaMask wallet and just sign in and start plugging into community. We do have a Discover page. I agree, like, right, like, right. So how could people find your community or find communities that they're interested in? That's gonna be a major focus over the next 6 months, right? We want to, right, like you can imagine community tags. You can imagine recommending communities based on the assets you own, right? So if I own, I don't know, Bored Apes, right? Like I could recommend Bored Ape communities to me, or communities that people who own the same NFTs as me are in, right? And you can do a bunch of like interesting stuff like that. So yeah, discovery will be a major focus. But yes, you can log in at gm.xyz and fonz.eth there. And then if you want to create an account, create a community, just shoot me a DM and I'll be happy to get you set up.
Well, thank you again, Mike. Really looking forward, and I'm sure that we'll ask you to be on a future episode again here. I know that we're going to be putting in a couple more community requests for all that we're doing here, and really love what we have seen so far here at gm.xyz. So any final thoughts before we bring this home here today, Mike?
No, this is great. Thank you all for having me. I'm looking forward to being a part of your communities and like helping you get them off the ground. And on GM, so to speak, right? Like that's a big thing, right? Like it's very hard to move an entire community over to GM, and we acknowledge that. So we're trying to build up like all the communities that are right, like taking a shot on GM, because we realize we're like new, we're 6 months old, and we will do everything in our power to help you all succeed. So thank you so much for having me on the show, and yeah, I'd love to come back at some point.
We would love to have you. Do you got anything final for us here, Tyler, from your end?
No, just want to let you know that you guys did an awesome job on this. We're super excited to plug into it. We've been encouraging all of our members of all of our communities to join us and get involved with this thing, because we think it's really awesome, and it looks like the future. So that's it.
Thank you so much.
All righty, have a great one, and we'll be connecting in the metaverse and on gm.xyz, building all the DAOs and all the communities there, and looking forward to a successful future to the gm.xyz team. So have a great weekend.
That sounds great. Thank you. You too.